Hello. Big story this week. Obviously, NVIDIA reaching a $4 trillion market cap. But why discuss a gigantic California company on an Oregon startup recap? Well, the trivial knowledge I reveal will make you the life of all your upcoming summer parties. So stay tuned as I reveal why NVIDIA needs to be discussed on an Oregon startup recap. But that's not the only big news. After weeks of slow news weeks, kind of quiet news weeks, we also have Ben Venture Conference announcing their applications are open. Tickets for Pitch Black are on sale, and by the time you hear this, they might actually even be sold out. And I met a few new startups this week that came across my desk that I hadn't heard of before, so I'll share those with you as well. And then, of course, at the end, probably some secrets here and there. But before we get into all of that, every week I've started talking about this Oregon startup folks kind of collection of people from the Oregon startup community. And I want to highlight the people who have taken the time to fill out their profiles to encourage you to perhaps become one of those people. And maybe you can get your profile featured as well. This week, because I got the chance to talk this week, because it's much harder to record in the summer months. For some reason, I don't really know why. I seem to have a harder time getting into the mode. So thanks for putting up with me. This week, I actually got the chance to talk with this person as well. I'd like to highlight Anna Sager. Anna is a technology development process engineer at Intel. Her expertise brings together elements from her background in chemical engineering, materials science, semiconductor fabrication, and electronic fundamentals. She recently graduated from UC Berkeley's Master of Engineering program, where she focused on electronic materials and also had the opportunity to work with a food tech startup through a class at Haas Business School. Anna is interested in being a co-founder or helping with the startup after enjoying the course at Haas. And we did talk quite a bit about it might not even need to be a co-founder kind of situation, but Anna's just interested in maybe an advisory position or even mentoring. So if Anna's background sounds like it could be valuable to you, know that she is willing and able to engage with startups and looking forward to working with you. So please reach out to her. And of course, if you have not yet completed your profile, please do that. You might be featured on the show. Maybe next week I look for somebody way far away from Portland, still in Oregon, but maybe the furthest away from Portland, still in the Oregon startup community. I'll pick that person and feature them. So if you're in Medford, Klamath Falls, maybe Ontario, somewhere like there, that's quite a ways from Portland, might be worth sharing your profile. Now, the big story, NVIDIA reaches a $4 trillion market cap. The first company in history to accomplish that. Apple kind of flirted with it. Microsoft has flirted with it, but NVIDIA becomes the first to kind of cross that barrier of $4 trillion market cap, which is just kind of crazy. But you've probably been hearing a lot about the news, and everybody's been talking about it. Everybody's been excited that it's a positive sign for the economy, perhaps a positive sign for the future of AI. But the reason I want to talk to you about it is a little bit of trivial knowledge that some people around here know, but I want to make sure everyone around here knows. And that is Jensen Huang, the founder of NVIDIA, has ties to Oregon and specifically the Portland area. So Jensen graduated from Aloha High School and then went on to attend Oregon State University. And I just want to touch on it because you can often kind of count on one hand the number of globally renowned founders who have an Oregon tie, have started something in Oregon. So I just think it's really important that we recognize that Jensen went to high school and college here and has now built the most valuable company in the world for the time being. These things always fluctuate, but they are the first in history. Can't take that away from NVIDIA. And now you can run off to all of your summer gatherings and be the life of the party with your trivial knowledge of NVIDIA, of Jensen Huang, and the ties to Oregon. Okay, some startups to watch. They're new to me. Just kind of found them this week. Either they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, I want to get more engaged with the startup community, and I'd like to let you know what we're doing," or I saw a news release or fundraising announcement. First one is Oath, which is going down the path of improving outpatient surgery outcomes. They kind of like, in reading it, kind of reminded me of the history of Zoom Care, which was looking to improve ambulatory care, which, sorry, I started in digital health and we always use the word ambulatory. If you don't know what ambulatory is, it's basically, come in and leave. You don't stay in it doesn't involve a hospital stay. You're ambulatory. So Zoom Care was a huge forward-thinking, innovative organization founded here that looked to improve ambulatory care. Then, of course, there was Brave Care, which was a Y Combinator alum founded here that was looking to improve urgent care, pediatric urgent care specifically, and really rethinking that model. And so Oath is in good company in that there are any number of people here who have worked for healthcare organizations seeking to improve healthcare. So I'm curious to see what Oath is capable of accomplishing. They've got some funding. Definitely there's talent here. So that's all good news for Oath. Then there's Stitch, which just raised $3 million in their pursuit to build agentic AI solutions for the insurance community. So the founders here, successful founder, serial founder, started this new thing, has raised $3 million, which in this fundraising environment is impressive, and is delving into a community that I haven't seen a lot of activity around insurance or insurance tech here in Portland. Maybe the fintech world is kind of slightly adjacent to that. Maybe the legal tech world slightly adjacent to that. But I'm really interested to see what happens with Stitch. And then the last one I had the opportunity to meet this week is Stratasy. Stratasy is taking the untold massive amounts of sonar data from ocean exploration and what have you, and taking all those massive amounts of data and using AI to analyze it, categorize it, make it more useful, make it more accessible to people. And so I'm really interested in watching their journey, if only to learn more about the work they do. This seems to be their kind of first foray. They seem to have a broader concept of all the things they'd like to build or all the things they could potentially do. But again, another really interesting application of AI. You may have seen them at a recent PDX demo night hosted by Oregon Venture Fund. They regularly do that AI demo night. And I believe Stratasy pitched there, or at least described their concept there pretty recently. So definitely going to keep an eye on them, and we'll keep you informed about them. Always interested in kind of the blue economy, given our proximity to that big old body of water there off to the west. So super interested to see what Stratasy does. And I know there are other programs in the state, as well as the Maritime Blue Accelerator just north of us in Washington, that is starting to create a really interesting foundation for this kind of activity. So keep an eye on Stratasy as well. So 3 new startups for you to keep an eye on, and of course for me to keep an eye on as well. Okay, I wanted to talk about Pitch Black, but by the time you're hearing this, tickets are probably actually already sold out. Like, I think they only went on sale Monday or Tuesday, and they were already half gone by the time I wrote up the post about it on Thursday. So if you're interested in attending Pitch Black, go get your ticket right now. Like, stop watching this, go get your ticket. If you're not familiar with Pitch Black, it is a pitch event, not so much a pitch competition, although there is a little competition, but basically everyone who gets up on stage gets some financial reward, gets some money out of that experience. So I'm always happy that they're rewarding the founders for spending time sharing their stories. The big deal with Pitch Black this time around is they basically doubled the size of the venue that they'll be holding the event in. They'll be at the Armory, Portland Center Stage, there in the Pearl. Pitch Black always sells out. So I'm looking forward to seeing a sold out Armory, Portland Center Stage. But please, if you're interested in going, go get your ticket right now. They'll be gone. They'll probably be gone before I even post this. And as one door starts to close, another door starts to open. Bend Venture Conference 2025 just opened applications. There are 2 stages. There's kind of the early stage and growth stage. You can apply for either one of those. I think the important thing to note, not only the fact that applications close in August, so you better get on that application right now and start working on it. Another thing that's important, I tell you, it's summer, man, just summer. The other important thing to note is that for Bend Venture Conference, the early stage category is only open to Oregon companies. So Bend Venture Conference is using that category as a means of supporting and furthering innovation in Oregon. So the entire group is going to be focused purely on Oregon companies. That's super interesting. Bend Venture Conference itself happens in October. I think it's the 16th and 17th this year, maybe. It's right in the middle of October. And if you're not thinking about pitching, you should definitely think about attending. It's always a good gathering for the entire Oregon startup community. And I always run into really interesting people down there or get to spend time with old friends from the startup community. So if you're a startup and you'd like to pitch down there, please submit your application for Bend Venture Conference. There is a cost. I believe it's $125 to apply, but that application fee is directly applicable to tickets. If you don't make it and you want to go down to see who didn't make it, like that money goes towards your ticket. So you're all good there. So it is an application fee, but it's not an application fee. So if you're interested in being on stage, get your application in. Hopefully you get selected. I'm sure you will. That thing you're working on is awesome. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to like ruin it for everybody else. I'd rather have you tell the story, but it's amazing. Good job. Keep working on it. I hope you get on stage at Bend Venture Conference. And if you just want to hang out with startups and investors and potentially me, I might be there too. Just be on the lookout for when tickets go on sale. On a more dour, sour, awful note, we're starting to see a lot of layoffs kind of rippling through the community. I don't need to name all of them, but thousands potentially of people across a number of companies are unfortunately soon to be out of work if they're not already out of work. And given that it was halfway through the year, I thought it would also be a good time for this. So I've kind of refreshed the how to get connected with the Portland startup community primer. I have a much longer one that I did at the beginning of the year, and I will link that up. I wrote up a new post that was kind of a quick read for getting people connected quickly with like the tech calendars and the Portland startup event calendar and the Slack instance and the Oregon startup folks database and those kind of things. But I might just do a short piece on that just so people have the information on YouTube as well. But if you have been impacted by a layoff, I'm sorry. That sucks. And I hope you're doing okay. But please, if you're looking to get connected with the startup community or you've always had an idea for a startup, we are here for you and we want to support you. So please take a look at that post and it'll help you get connected with some folks that may be able to help you with either the company you want to build or maybe you can help them with the company they want to build. Hang in there. In that list, one good way to connect with folks is the events. There are events happening all throughout the summer. Like, stuff tends to slow down a little bit, but there's still some amazing stuff going. I just want to read off a few events from this week that provide a great opportunity for you to connect with your peers in the Portland startup community. These are specifically kind of Portland focused, but if it would be valuable to folks, I'm happy to start covering more broadly Oregon events as well. That may be helpful because people are traveling around during the summer. I don't know. You may be down in Bend. Maybe you want to go to a startup event in Bend because you're down there. Or maybe you're from Bend and you're up in Hood River or the Dalles and you want to go to a startup event there. So maybe while we're all kind of bouncing around the state during the summer, I should do a better job of letting you know all the Oregon startup events that are happening. So if that's of interest, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know. Okay, so July 15th is the Portland Accessibility and User Experience Meetup, as well as OEN's Pitch Please, which is a pitch practice session. On July 16th, Latino Founders Sip and Learn, which is a coffee kind of session and a talk kind of session, but really a peer-to-peer learning session that Latino Founders holds. PDX Web is having a co-working session, so if you're looking to work alongside folks and that's your way of kind of like engaging with community, that could be a really good opportunity for you to do it. And then the most Portland tech event happening this week is July 16th. It's vibe coding on a bike. So it's bike summer here in Portland, and vibe coding is a huge deal. And so Chris Anderson has been working on this project, and he's like, well, it's so easy to vibe code with this project that you could do it from a bike with just your voice. So if that sounds interesting to you, I know the 16th is going to be ridiculously hot, but if you would like to jump on your bike, maybe code up an app while you're just riding your bike and then wind up at Cartopia, vibe coding on a bike could be the thing for you. I don't know what to call it. It's like biking vibe coding, bike vibe coding, vibe bike coding, vibing while bike coding. I don't know, but whatever. If that's of interest to you and vibe coding is of interest to you, those are your people. If biking is interesting to you, those are your people too. So maybe go biking, but wind up vibe coding. Who knows what you could build on your ride from Lads Edition to Cartopia. So if it's of interest to you, it's definitely a Portlandy event. Please show up for vibe coding on a bike. A couple more events. Ecom Loves Outdoors is happening July 17th. So if you're in the ecom space and want to meet with more ecom people, or you're in the outdoor industry and you're interested in e-commerce, then I would encourage you to attend that event. And on July 18th, so much of Portland's activity around community occurs in the evening. That's why I'm always happy to see more events that take place at different spots in the day, be they morning or lunch or whatever. So another morning event that's coming up, if that's easier for you, is AI in the Morning with AI Portland. That's happening July 18th. And then finally, Saturday, July 19th, is the Technology Association of Oregon's big summer bash, party in the Pinot. Couple $100 for a ticket, but it's often well worth it. Like, so many people show up to that event. You get some great beverages and food and all those kind of things. Not to mention you get to hang out with tech people from all over the Oregon tech community and southwestern Washington tech community. People come down from Seattle for it. People come up from the Bay Area for it. So always a great gathering, tons and tons of people, lots of interesting people to meet, but not just startup-y people, like people who work at major tech companies. I don't know, maybe Jensen Huang will show up to celebrate its $4 trillion market cap for NVIDIA. I don't know. I'm not saying he will, but he might. Maybe. But whatever the case, you're going to meet somebody interesting at Party in the Pinot. So if you have the wherewithal to get down there and grab a ticket, it's probably close to sold out as well, so you should get on that soon. Okay, now we're at everybody else has left. It's just you and me. Like, no one else is watching this except you. So thanks for staying. Thanks for hanging out. This has become the time where I kind of share some secrets or insights about work I'm doing, about what's going on. And I appreciate you staying. I hope that this is interesting to you. I think a couple of the things I wanted to talk about with you in particular is, I'm sorry we couldn't have that July get together we had been planning. I know I talked about it a lot. I know I tried to promote it a lot, but fact of the matter is there were any number of kind of extenuating circumstances that caused that event to not quite come together like we had hoped that it would. But I think one of the things that was the primary indicator for us was just the number of RSVPs. It was really, really low. And we also recognized that given Portland's typical RSVP to actual people who show up ratio, it probably would have been, less than 100 people who actually showed up to the event. So it just didn't seem like the right time or the right amount of effort to like try and force that to happen. So we just decided to postpone it. And, sometimes stuff doesn't work out. That's just the way it is. And so if you're really looking forward to that, I apologize. We will look for another time where we can do that thing, maybe later in the year when more people are available and we're not impacting people's summers. I know people get value out of those larger networking events. And so I'm still going to try to make it happen, but I'm just kind of looking for a date where it's reasonable and that the other folks who've helped plan it will be available to make things happen, and the other things we had lined up can fall into place at that point in time. So again, my apologies. I'm sorry we canceled that. I'm sorry if you didn't see that and you showed up to the red being like, I'm hungry, where's the cookout? I'm sorry if that happened to you. I apologize. Tried to communicate it as best we could, but some folks still may have shown up at the space. So again, try and get it going again. Thank you for your interest. But yeah, just didn't come together this time. Okay. And then the other thing, during the summer, while recording this show, I'm awful at recording this part of the show. During the summer, let's be honest, I'm awful at recording this part of the show year round. That's consistency. But during the summer, I often have the opportunity to kind of like sit outside like the old man with the beard that I am and, in a rocking chair or what have you, and pontificate on startup topics, on venture capital topics, on Portland as a place, on, whatever. Like I am happy to do kind of stream of consciousness kind of content, share more insights or details about the community, like whatever you're interested in. So if you have questions that you would like me to answer, you can put them in the comments. That's totally cool. I'm cool with that. And I'm happy to see those comments. So feel free to do that. But if you don't, just like DM me on like LinkedIn or Blue Sky or somewhere like that. And just let me know what your questions are. I'll be happy to answer those, happy to record a piece. And if you are comfortable with being revealed as the person who submitted the question, of course, I'll give you a shout out during that video and maybe during the weekly recap. I don't know. I'll give you all kinds of shout outs. But if you have questions, please do not be shy. There are no dumb questions, and I don't want you struggling either as a founder or somebody trying to get connected with the community or somebody who doesn't understand some dynamic of the community and can use some more insights. Whatever the case, please reach out with your question. I'll be happy to get those answered. Thank you. All right, that's it for this week. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging out. As long as you did, it's going to be a hot one this week. Try and stay cool. Check in on your neighbors, especially if they're elderly. Make sure they're doing okay because it's going to be a scorcher all over the state. Portland's going to be hot. Down south's going to be even hotter. So take care of yourself. Hang in there. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.